I am Eric Parker and I am DeKalb made. I grew up in Decatur, Georgia, started off at Rainbow Elementary in DeKalb, then I went to Smoke Rise Elementary and then matriculated up to Tucker High School, currently the principal at Tucker High School. Being a student in DeKalb is all I knew. Again, just growing up in Decatur, just lived right off Rainbow Drive in Wesley Chapel. Started off again at Rainbow Elementary, and then just the M to M happened, and then came home one day, and then next thing I knew, I was going to Smoke Rise Elementary, starting in first grade. And then from first grade through seventh grade, was a student at Smoke Rise Elementary. Matriculated, had a great experience, didn't know anything different. So then I went from eighth grade to my senior year at Tucker High School. So being a student in DeKalb is all I knew. Living in DeKalb is all I knew growing up, and just proud to continue to represent and as a product of DeKalb. So for me, being in school, it was not just because I was tall, but I did end up playing basketball. Didn't know that I would have liked playing basketball until I got to Tucker High School. I started off trying to play basketball, learning how to play at the South DeKalb YMCA, right off Rainbow and Wesley Chapel. One thing that the coaches at Tucker would tell you is that when I got to Tucker High School in eighth grade, or even being at Smoke Rise, I wasn't good at basketball. Well, my eighth grade coach, who's still at Tucker High School, always tells the story of my eighth grade year. I was probably not one of the best players on the team, probably one of the, I played well, but injury prone, just, not very coordinated. But shortly thereafter, I grew, worked on my craft, again, stayed at school working, and again, learned how to play at the South DeKalb YMCA, and just as I got to my ninth grade year, I was on varsity. So it just, and from there on, basketball was something that I learned to do pretty well, learned that I was good at, and then that kind of made a name for myself at Tucker as being a basketball player, as well as a pretty solid student athlete, and that's kind of what I remember most, and was kind of what I was known at. One thing I learned quickly about Tucker High School was it was a school that had a lot of tradition. It was a community school. It was a school that was rich in athletics as well as academics. So that's one thing I remember vividly about Tucker High School, because even being a student at Smoke Rise, everyone couldn't wait to go to Tucker because the football team was very prominent, athletics was very prominent, and we were all excited to be a part of that Tucker tradition. So one thing that I learned early on was that Tucker prepared me for was just how to be successful, because again, there was a culture of success. So one thing that I could say that those upperclassmen did then is kind of adopt me. So, okay, coming to Tucker, here's what you need to do to be successful. If you want to play basketball, here's what you need to do. But ultimately, you really have no choice other than to be successful, because here's how we do things at Tucker High School. So because that tradition was ingrained in students and student athletes in the community, the culture was so strong that you came in and just matriculated right into that winning culture. Again, as an eighth grade, ninth grade, then a 10th grade student, I really learned how to adopt that Tucker culture and be a successful student and a successful student athlete. So I got a basketball scholarship to college. Went up to Radford, Virginia, played 4 years Division I basketball. It was great. Again, one goal that I had was to play college basketball. I never saw myself as a playing basketball beyond that, because one thing that I learned quickly was basketball looked a little bit different at the college level than it did at high school. So that was definitely a difference. One of my goals going into college was I saw myself as essentially I thought I'd be an orthopedic doctor. One lesson that I learned, because growing up I think I probably broke about 6 bones. I broke fingers, arm twice. I was always in the doctor's office, particularly as I played, because I stayed injured a lot. My first job after college was a teacher in middle school. I reached out to my former principal at Tucker, told him that I switched my major, and I was interested in coaching. And so Dr. Buchanan, again, he was my principal at Tucker High School at the time. He was a principal, he was an assistant superintendent in another school district. I still stayed in contact with him. He said, well, if you finish with a degree in education, and if you want to teach and coach, let me know. So before I even graduated, he had me a job as a middle school teacher and basketball coach. So even though I played a little bit beyond college and did some other things, I came back with a degree in education. I was teaching middle school and coaching 8th grade basketball in another district, but I always wanted to come back to DeKalb. Always wanted to coach. So started teaching and coaching at that middle school. Ended up getting a master's degree. And the administrator at the time said you may want to look at administration. So I did that, and then I got connected with some of my former administrators and folks here in DeKalb. And even though I was still teaching and coaching, I came out, was still helped to volunteer, still connected in DeKalb, became a coach in a couple of other districts and traveled around. But ultimately, once I became an administrator and assistant principal in another district and then a principal in another district, the Tucker High School came open, and then I matriculated to Tucker High School in 2018. This was actually my 4th school that I was a principal at, and through the years, and it was just great to come back home. One thing I can say is that Tucker's always been a place of love for me, because not just as a graduate of Tucker High School, but looking back on it now, I met my wife, who was also a Tucker High School graduate. So we met at Tucker, and just coming full circle, having the opportunity as a principal at Tucker High School to have my oldest daughter graduate from Tucker, but then also having my current daughter there with me as well too. So it is truly a family affair being at Tucker and being here in DeKalb. So that's been huge, but then also just recognizing that the ability and the opportunity to do what was done for me as a principal, having former students reach back out who are interested in education, interested in coaching, wanting some career advice, to be able to connect them and bring them back as well too, it's been huge. So I think it's one thing I would say is success. I think that the culture of Tucker is that of success. One thing that, again, I recognized early on and that was ingrained in me was just the culture of success that exists at Tucker, from academics to athletics to just in the community. I know that even as I came across as a student and learning the culture at Tucker, you then had no choice but to be successful. Even if I wanted to stray as a student with 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, the upper class, they will pull me in and say, that's not how we do things here at Tucker. You have to do things a certain way. And that culture and that tradition was just ingrained in the school. So you had to get on board, because there was just such a rich tradition at Tucker of winning and of being successful. And so that's one thing that I would say really continue to resonate with me. But then even now, as a principal at Tucker, I would always ask students who are coming in, why do you want to come to Tucker? What is it about Tucker that made your parents move here, or you want to transfer to Tucker from a different school? It's because of some of those same traditions that I learned about, was excited about, and the reputation that Tucker has and the reputation of the students and alumni of Tucker has. So I'm just proud to embody that and proud to in some way continue that forward. People told me early on, because I did have some success in basketball, how, NBA this, NBA that, but I told them that never really was something that I wanted to do. My story was that I wanted to be intellect. I wanted to be an academic. I wanted to be known for things beyond basketball, because even when I was a student at Tucker, an aha moment for me was having the opportunity and being put in front of some individuals to speak about my success in athletics, but then being told, oh wow, we can't believe that you're successful academically as well. And that resonated with me, because many times beyond that, it was always a surprise that, I wanted to pursue higher education and achieve some graduate degrees. I didn't want to play basketball forever, but I wanted to do some other things academically. I wanted to be published. I wanted to write. I wanted to do some other things in academia, but that was always a surprise to other people. But you're a basketball player. That was a box that people would always put me in. So now my message to students is, don't let anyone put you in a box. Don't let anybody define you as just being an athlete. just being a basketball player, just because you look a certain way or you do a certain thing, that you could define your own success, you could define your own path. And there are other Tucker alums that I'm excited to present to our current students as to, this is what my walk looked like, this is what I did. However, we have such a rich culture and such a strong alumni base that it's easy for me to show them what I did and tell them what I did and walk in these same halls. But there are other successful graduates from this institution, from DeKalb in general, but you can do that because this is what Tucker High School students do, this is what Tucker High School graduates look like. But then also, don't let anyone paint you in a box or put limitations on what it is you can or can't do. I tell them all the time, no, I didn't go to the NBA, but I do have an MBA. I think just being a principal at Tucker High School, because Tucker has always been true to me. There was, even all the years I've been in education, the other schools that I've been a principal of, is being at home, being at Tucker has always been proud for me, again, because it is personal, it's professional, and it is a family dynamic there for me. So within that, my proudest moment is not even about basketball per se, or about some of the other memories that I have as a student, or even a lot of things that I'm proud of as a principal. But I think one thing that always is I will remember, and that's again looking at that picture that I put together for you all, is my oldest daughter graduating from Tucker High School, being able to hand her diploma, being able to be a part of that experience, and that again, having my wife go through Tucker, having my daughter come through Tucker, but now having my youngest daughter be a part of that as well. And it's also extra special that they do play basketball, and so that's just another proud moment for me. But just for them to experience the Tucker tradition, and then for them to have success, and for them to find their own path, as we often share, we want all of our children to do, all of our students to do. But that's always true for me. But it's always special for me because I always, as a principal, would say that I have 3 daughters of my own, but I have 1,600 that I consider myself to be a school dad for. And then they call me school dad because they recognize that the same love that I have for mine, I treat them that same way. And that's the part of that relationship that we've had with, as students and former students over the years as well. But I think that moment where my daughter was a part of Tucker, experienced Tucker, and then successfully graduated is a moment that that's always going to be special for me. There are a lot of teachers that really poured into me. A lot of my teachers, my coaches. Again, being a student that didn't really even know what my educational experience would look like going into Tucker High School. Again, just being connected to my former principal as a mentor, Dr. Buchanan, to Dr. Spruce, who was my 8th grade basketball coach, who's still the only teacher at Tucker now that was there when I was a student, who's still teaching science on the floor above my office. So, but I definitely will say that there are a lot of teachers, Miss Brown, just every coach, every teacher, just even the security that was there. It's just amazing the number of people that I didn't even noticed me, but I was at a Tucker Rotary meeting last week, and there was a gentleman there that said, I remember you when you were playing basketball at the YMCA in South DeKalb Y off Rainbow Drive. That was, a long time ago. So that's one thing I think about being at home, or being back home, even though I've been there some years. It's just a great to be reminded, and to also to kind of relive some of those great memories, but then also know that I made an impact in some way in my community, in my school, but also to try to work to continue to do that and just stay connected to and to be a principal of my classmates and my former teammates, to have them trust me to lead the school where their children are. It's just a great, humbling experience.